All right, welcome everyone to this summer edition, if you will, of our bi-weekly update. Thank you for joining us today, as I know there's a lot going on and a lot that people are busy with, and a lot of vacationing. A lot of people are traveling and driving around. So thank you for really attending this program. It's a great chance for us to give you what's hot, what's going on, and to kind of get an update, if you will, of what's on the top of our minds as well. So we'd like to share this with you on a bi-weekly basis. We spend a lot of time doing a lot of things, and then we have to distill it all into this little bit of time right now, into 30 minutes. You'd think we'd have plenty of time, but it seems like I've always got a lot to blather on about. So at any rate, a couple of the things that we find are hot today: Taliban, corrections, summer, vacations, Delta variant, mental health, kids not having enough, let's call it mental health resources, and also a book and a book club that I'm going to announce, or I'm going to call it a book project. I've got a phenomenal book. It's called Love Your Enemies, and I'm going to probably gather as many of you that want to gather and put a special session together to go over this book, directly converse about it. Maybe we'll do a chapter at a time. We can read parts of it, but it is such a profound book for me. Anyway, that I'd just love to share it for those who are interested as well. So it's kind of a side project, but I think for a lot of us, it might be a good chance for us to talk about some very important things that'll probably help you. It's helped me across every facet of my life. So I don't know if you've run into anyone who has a difference of opinion lately. I see you shaking your heads. Yeah. Okay. A few of you. Good. It's a way to help deal with that in a very profound way. The good news, I'm going to give you some good news about it. The fact that we have different opinion doesn't mean that we should hate the other person. You know what it means? It means we've got an opportunity for growth. So at any rate, I'll leave you with some of that as well. What I'd like to do today is recognize and bring one of our wonderful, wonderful team members, Jen Dalek, to our housekeeping today. She's going to tell us what's important. There's a bunch of stuff going on, and I know this is one of those sections where I learn a lot as well. Jen, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. We have several announcements this morning, so without further ado, I just want to draw your attention to the quarterly newsletter. You all should have received that electronically by this point, but we're also, for convenience, mailing that out, so watch your mailboxes for that. As a reminder, Wednesday, August 25th is Gentian Professional Development Day, so we will have some limited availability from 9:30 until 5. The very next day, we have our ladies and Gentian women's group. So the women are getting together. This is a really exciting session virtually with Dr. Robert Fisher from Fisher Chiropractic, who's going to take us through a sensory journey of essential oil education. Then this one's pretty exciting and brand new. On August 31st, you may not be aware, but it's National Eat Outside Day. So we're going to invite you all here to Gentian in our backyard for a cookout. So you'll have an invitation shortly. Please RSVP. It's going to be great. We're going to have music, we're going to have yard games, food, and it's just going to be a nice way to spend the end of summer. So other than that, I just wanted two more things as we head into fall. Two-factor authentication will be rolling out. So it's an added layer of security. You'll be prompted to enter a password, then followed by a text code or a voice code that's going to be sent to you. So just be on the lookout for that update. And then the very last set, save the date of the year, is going to be the Blue Mountain Country Club. We have our fall forum coming up. So that's going to be on October 5th. And that's all for now.
Awesome, Jenny. Thank you so much. I know the two-factor authentication, I've done it on many things, and it seems to be a real pain in the behind, but I've got to honestly tell you, with the security issues that have been going on for the past probably year that we've been seeing escalating, it seems to begin to make sense, and it's finally necessary. So thank you, Jenny, for bringing us on with all of the different important pieces that we need today. So I'll begin in gratitude. So I've had a little bit of time here and there this last maybe few weeks to attend a wedding with a family in Raleigh. So we hopped on the plane very carefully, flew there, and we realized that Raleigh, North Carolina, was actually very much devastated by what happened with some of the COVID and then some of the race riots and others as well. It's actually just reemerging. It's a beautiful city. We also visited the campus of Duke University, which was just phenomenal. If you are into Harry Potter, what I heard the story was last night, one of my client's daughters who attends there told us that he wanted to buy Yale and they wouldn't allow him, so he built Duke. So it's kind of an in-your-face sort of method. Anyway, if that's true, I'm not sure. Check the facts, compliance, you can check that as well. But generally, that's the story that I heard. I'm going to stick with it, which was really kind of fun. But I think the beautiful thing was to actually see in person. And we spent, since it was 85 degrees the whole time, we got to spend the entire time outside really walking around Raleigh and the food markets there. If people haven't been there to that kind of Resource Triangle, very, very interesting and cool. I think it's worth a trip. And what I'll do next time is not have a wedding so that I can actually reach out to my clients who live there, which is even more fun as well. But it was really a great time to actually see and connect and bump in and run to and hang out with the people that you love. Since it's one of my 4 keys: faith, family, health, business, family. That family was very important to see. And now I want to go back and see my mom and see my grandfather as well. But as this Delta variant hops up, we've got to be super careful with those as well. So at any rate, this morning, it's been a wonderful morning. So that's just sharing a little bit of my gratitude. How about yourself, Ken?
Good morning, everybody. Great to be here with you as usual. Yeah, my going big is our COI, Centers of Influence, as we call them. They help us help you. These are the accountants, the estate planning attorneys, the property and casualty insurance people we work with. They help us help you. So we just had a great session with them recently. Grateful for all of them and sharing their great ideas. Also grateful for our team, the Gentian team. A lot of you call them now. You call Julie, Lisa, everybody else besides Chris, myself, and Zach. And so they do field a lot of phone calls. And I want to say thank you to our team because they are fantastic. They're doing a great job. So also have a family vacation coming up here. Grateful for that. It's my 1 week to unplug up north in St. Germain, Wisconsin. Some of you have been up to Minocqua, Eagle River. It's right around that area. So looking forward to sharing some stories with you when I get back. Also want to hear some of your stories from your travels over the summer when I see you guys in fall as well. So.
Thank you, Ken. How about yourself, Zach?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Always a lot to be grateful for. Today, it's really just grateful and humbled to be part of the Gentian team. Like Ken mentioned, it's truly an honor to be on this team and also to serve each one of you. And just to have those meetings, to hear your wisdom, life stories, and to be on the journey with you is one of the greatest gifts I have ever received in my life. And like Ken, I get the opportunity to spend some time with my family in the Rocky Mountains coming up. So I absolutely love the mountains and can't wait for that adventure and trip with my family.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Zach. I appreciate that. So it was interesting. So we just recently, my family sat down to dinner and my wife asked me if I could clear the table. So it took a running start, but I made it. At any rate, looking at these kind of things, it's a wonderful time this summer to reflect on a lot of things. I think one of the pieces I looked at is I recently had a chance to look at a little bit of the financial journalism. And I've got a definition of financial journalism here for you all. It's essentially the propagation of fear mongering. So basically, anytime you can bring up something that could cause you fear, it seems to be about 95% of what's brought up. So I'm extremely careful with it, but I do want to pay attention to it to see what you're seeing, to see what you're noticing. I know all of you don't watch or read as much maybe as you have in the past. Some of you do more. But I like to see what that is. And boy, has it really multiplied when it comes to fear-based. I tend to be a facts person. I'll look at the facts and find the best source for those. And I don't really want the opinion of somebody else on those. And sometimes, most of the time, the facts do not mesh up with what's being shown in the media. So, and again, I don't want to say on any certain subject, but I mean, this can be across the board. I know I was in Argentina in 2001 when it looked like the whole country was just falling apart and there were people, rioting everywhere. We flew into Buenos Aires and I asked the cab driver, oh my gosh, are we going to be safe here? And he goes, oh yeah, that was just over there. It's a city of 26 million. He said it was just this neighborhood over there. So, but what you saw on television was the whole country was falling apart. So again, they sensationalize what's happening when I think most people are good. And that's a very, very strong subject. So I think if I was to title today, I'm going to call it, I believe most people are good. And if you want a really good poem, read the lyrics to Most People Are Good from Josh Keir. It, to me, is a statement that needs to be reiterated and read probably almost once a week. So it's a great piece to take a look at, but that's myself right now. A lot of what's happening, remember, investing should be like watching paint dry. I know that's not very exciting, but it takes decades long of saving and compounding. That's what it is. Second thing I want to bring up right now is called lifeboat drills. We're long enough into a bull market where people are believing they're brilliant versus a bull market. I've been through it before twice, and I suffered from it. Thought I was brilliant. You could buy you could buy AOL, you could buy Dell, you could buy Cisco, and you were brilliant, right? Oh, nope, it was a bull market. That happens now again. But just be careful of that. To those you love, to your kids. Right now, Robinhood just came public, and Robinhood, I think 50% of all retail investors who signed up an account in the last 5 or 7 years have set it up through Robinhood. On average, they check their account 7 times a day. So if you look at those statistics, that does not lead to good behavior by what we study and we share with you as well. The studies that say the more you look at it, the worse you do. I remember back in the late 90s, the people who quit their jobs to day trade, 99% fully lost all of their money. So if you look at those statistics and go, but then there's the 1% who said, no, look, I made all this money. Luckily, they made some money and moved on. However, trading does not equal performance, but it's hard to watch that movie when you're in it. Anyway, those are a few things. The lifeboat drills we do right now, which Ken and probably Zach have brought up to you in some of the meetings, and we will talk more about it in this fall. The market's been good for quite a while. It doesn't mean it can't continue to be good, but I think the biggest thing I've seen right now is corporate cash is as big as it's ever been. And the last quarter, it's gone up tremendously again. Companies are stockpiling in case something happens with the Delta variant, with something else. Now, add that to the consumer cash stockpile and to the stockpile of cash at private equity, and we've got probably a third the market value almost, and that's just approximate, just sitting in cash. Now, people yesterday asked me, well, why don't you just, Chris, at this board meeting, why don't you just take this money, you can put it in something, we can get 4 or 5%, safe without any risk. And I said, just hold on just a minute. Let me let you know something right here. There's more cash than ever. There's more demand than ever. That's brought rates down to historically low levels. There is no magic elixir. There's no magic elixir where you're going to get 4 or 5% compound on a risk-free basis. Well, people say, well, you can put it in annuities and get 3, 4, or 5, and it won't go down when the market corrects. So with a 16% surrender value and it's not liquid, it means you can't get at it for 16. Well, really? So again, there's a lot of misinformation. These are smart people. So again, this misinformation that's out there is still being passed in different forms. So obviously, reach out to Zach, Ken, Peter, myself, the team. We've got some answers for those as well. At any rate, I just wanted to bring a couple of those different ideas up here before we go into some of the super stats from Zach about what's happened with the market, because none of us watch it anymore. So that's why we need this every 2 weeks for Zach to be able to tell us what's happened. Zach?
Thank you, Chris. We'll go through markets like we normally do. We'll go through some fixed income numbers. Not a lot changes on the fixed income, but as Chris mentioned, just kind of a good reminder to show where rates are currently at. And then some interesting facts that we've found through Investors Business Daily, MFS by the numbers, and then through our masterminds group that Ken mentioned as well. Just a few different ideas there that Ken might go into more detail on as well. But starting out with markets, the S&P 500 as of market close yesterday up 18.42%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average 15.48. The NASDAQ, which is a little bit more heavily weighted towards technology, 16.42. And then the Russell 2000, which is small caps and mid-sized companies, 10.24%, with the growth portion of small caps being 1.25% on the year, but value 20.04. So as we mentioned previously, over the last 10 years or more, it's been the opposite, but that's exactly why we diversify and own both. A big mistake that we talk about very often with different asset classes is people see these numbers and go, oh man, I'm going to get out of growth and move towards value. That one's doing way better, which is the exact opposite of what we want to do, and the beauty of rebalancing and getting back to those target numbers. International, measured by the MSCI, ACWI excluding the US, is 6.25% positive on the year. And then emerging markets is one of the asset classes struggling the most so far, with different pressures in China. A lot of countries not doing as well as we are as far as COVID and rolling out vaccines. Emerging markets is currently down 2.32% on the year. Fixed income, again, the rates are historically low. The 1 year is 0.08, not much of a change from last time. The 5 year, 0.78, the 10 year, 1.28, and the 30 year, 1.94. Just slight changes on those. And some interesting facts here from Investors Business Daily. Used car prices are up 41.7% versus a year ago today. So if you're looking to buy a car, maybe fixing that part for $250 is a much better choice than buying a new one right now. At least that's what I'm telling myself. MFS by the numbers gives interesting facts each month, and we just love looking at them for perspective. And as the markets go, after peaking on February 19th of 2020, the market capitalization was $36.1 trillion. It fell 12.7 trillion to 23 trillion as of March 23rd of 2020. but has since added back $24 trillion. And on August 6th of 2021, it was at $47 trillion. So just unbelievably massive numbers and a massive recovery as well. A really interesting one, I was thinking this as I was watching the Bucks championship and saw 40,000 kids from 18 to 22 years old. What are these kids doing for work? Are they working on a Tuesday when they're out here till midnight watching the Bucks? But MFS also brought us that as of 2020, June of 2020, 1 out of every 7 graduates, or 13.6%, was unemployed in June of 2020. Just 1 out of every 16 recent graduates in June of 2021 was unemployed. So great to see that a lot of the new graduates were getting jobs over the last year, and that unemployment fell by almost half. So great to see. A very quick fact and idea that we heard in our masterminds yesterday from one of our CPAs that we often work with and get different tax ideas from. A very interesting note lately is the child tax credit. A lot of people have been asking us what to do with that. You know, we just received this payment. Should we opt in or out? It's been extremely confusing for a lot of people, and you actually have to physically opt out. You have to go online and opt out. And if you're married filing jointly, you both have to. So the CPA that we talked to said it's really an individualized scenario if you should opt out, but you should definitely talk with your CPA to see if you should, because in some cases it could be a big deal one way or the other.
Awesome, Zach, thank you. A couple of things that's interesting to watching what's going on with the markets, some of the stats that we have. It's interesting to see in perspective, you know, how that relates to normal. So when Zach brings these up, I think it's phenomenal for us to kind of step back and go, wow, value really has taken off over growth this year. Some of growth had done well, but it's actually receded. And the market does take breaks by either correcting and dropping or by moving sideways. So we've seen those happen. But I really appreciate that, Zach. Thank you. And thank you for all the perspective that you bring to us as well. So we appreciate that. Ken, how about yourself and planning wise? Is there anything that you've seen that we've been talking about? I know you had the COI call. I know there's a lot of things that come up and you bring up on that, but anything you want to share when it comes to planning?
Yeah, there's a couple things, Chris, I appreciate that. And yeah, so when we talked to our COIs, centers of influence, as we call them, like I mentioned before, these are going to be the accountants, the enrolled agents, the CPAs, the estate planning attorneys, real estate professionals, things of that nature. Those are the centers of influence that we tune into and dial into to help you guys. And one of the things that we're seeing there is on the HSAs, the health savings accounts. It came up again. There's some new rules around them. There's some new uses for them as well. So I just wanted to quickly go through health savings accounts, especially when we get to that Medicare timeframe and when we start using them. You know, sometimes we have to use them along the way before we get to retirement as well. But ideally, if we can let these things grow and we can even invest them as well, that's going to be more of a feather in your cap as we grow these. I mean, I heard a story the other day where someone put about $10,000 or $15,000 into an HSA, and over the last 3 or 4 years, it's basically doubled because they invested their money properly and prudently. So we can help you with the diversification of your HSAs. Sometimes you can invest them, sometimes you can't. Come up with a wonderful allocation for you to help you grow your money faster and better over the years, of course. So when you get to Medicare timeframe, you can use your HSA money for Part B of Medicare. You can use it for dental and vision. You can use it for some of your copays. You can also use it for long-term care premiums as well, and also Affordable Care Act premiums as well. You can use it for that. The one thing that I think people, I hear over the years here is that, can I use these for the Medicare supplements that we get in addition to Medicare? And the answer is no. You can use it for Part B. That's the one that comes off your Social Security each month if you're collecting Social Security. Otherwise, they send you, I think it's a monthly or quarterly bill that they do. So you can use it to help pay for that, but not Medicare supplements. Not Medicare supplements. So I thought that was a big one. Also, if you're still working past 65, here's an interesting one. There's Medicare Part A, which is the free part, and there's also Medicare B. If you are enrolled in either A or B, and you're 65 and you're still working, that disqualifies you to be eligible for a health savings account. Okay. So that's something to look at. So even if you're working past 65, we'll help you. We'll reach out to our partners that know Medicare very well to say, should you go on Medicare? Should you stay with your group plan at your place of employment? And again, Part A, Part B, we'll work through all these things for you. Lastly, before I turn it back over to Chris, I want to talk a little bit about what I've been hearing from a few of you on the phone calls and just general people, some of my neighbors as well. Chris mentioned 98, 99 people were, stopping basically working and day trading the markets, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. We're starting to see some of that as well right now. I'm getting phone calls and I'm getting some ideas from clients to say, and also reinvesting that as well. Personal lines and personal loans as well, having those loans out there, and then also like taking the loan at 4%, say, and investing and trying to get 7, 8, or 9. Guys, that's a very dangerous game to play, you guys, right? We need to be really, really, really aware of your overall goals. We need to understand if you're on track or not. We need to understand what happens if we lose a position or we become disabled. All these things that we talk about, there's a lot of pieces that go into that. So I just want to bring some of that stuff up to you because I'm starting to hear that a little bit right now from some. And I just want to make sure that we're answering all the questions, asking all the questions, and making sure we're making really, really solid, long-term, great financial decisions with our money.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. So what you're saying is that we should take a loan out and day trade is what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I think we're recommending against that, Chris.
Oh, good. Okay. I was going to say, because that would be a big philosophy change, but I wanted to go through it and touch base. Now, there's a new thing I've heard called Medicare Part E that's been signed into law or been brought up. Medicare Part E is apparently for everyone. It's going to be on all the exchanges. There's a lot more data to come up with it, so we don't know a lot about it yet, but we're going to find out more from Tom and from our resources on what Medicare Part E really is and how that might work. What's interesting, I see the transcript keeps telling me I'm saying Medicare Part D. It's Medicare Part E for everyone. So at any rate, I just wanted to tell you that piece as well. So another one I found out here recently is, let's say somebody's looking at buying a second property, moving to Florida or having something. One of the interesting things is we found that you might be able to get a better rate rather than getting a loan on the place in Florida. If you paid off your home here, mortgage the home here on a 15-year basis, in some cases under 2%, and purchase the home with the cash you have from there. So if you are going to use mortgage rates now, there's some really cool financing ideas that you can work with from some of our partners and COIs that may enable you to really make a big difference on the purchase of properties. But as Ken said, I've seen that slippery slope before. The market sure does have a wonderful angle, but if you're looking at maybe we hit a 3-year correction and you're looking at borrowing money and putting it in the market, it can be a very slippery slope on that game. So if you've won the game, there's no need to take a ton of risk on that. But there are creative ways to use rates that are going on right now. If you have a loan that's probably 1% or more above what present rates are, maybe a good chance to take a look at that because there's some very interesting rates. Some are below 2%. The 30-year is below 3%. So for those of you who have maybe a mortgage that's more than 5 or 10 years left on it, you might want to take a look at that as well to refinance. So Ken, thank you tremendously. Those are a couple of great ideas that we have out there as well. So one of the things I actually wanted to bring up too, that came from the book that I was talking about from Summit Theological. It was kind of funny as I go through the book, and I'll give you more about this as well. The Summit Theological basically is saying that Thomas Aquinas once said, to love is to will the good of the other. And I looked at that and said, what does that even mean? Basically, to will others and to will good on them. I think a great one too, as I look at this book too, is the Dalai Lama had a great one. The Dalai Lama has essentially been persecuted since a very young age by China. And every single day, the Dalai Lama offers up prayers for China. Every single day. You look at a person who's been that, and when was the last time you gave a warm-hearted, welcome to contempt? And I'll talk a little bit more about contempt maybe on the next program as well. What I also found, the statistics came from this book as well. looking at friends in dollars and cents and equating them to our social good, our brains are wired to connect. Lieberman actually found through a study that observed simply having a friend you see on most days gives you the equivalent happiness boost of earning an additional $100,000 a year in income. So when you look at this, friends, do they make a difference? I mean, almost dollarizing, that's what they did with this. It actually can make a big difference. So, find that person, find that phone call. I think it's a very important thing, especially with what we have going on as well. And I think Buddha once said, it was in this book as well, says that, to conquer anger through gentleness, unkindness through kindness, greed through generosity, and falsehood by truth. It's interesting because when I first read that, that was kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I realized, oh, my job is to conquer me. That's the only thing I can do. When somebody brings something to me that makes me angry or whatever, conquer my anger and respond in kindness. So I think there's a couple things. There's a lot more that comes in this book, but I really wanted to put a few of those pieces out there as well, because there's an awful lot that comes from that. The last thing I want to do here, if I may, is touch base. There's so much going on in the future loop stuff. It's beginning to frighten me. I mean that in the sense of it's all good, or is it? So let me give you a couple of ideas. There's a new Croatian restaurant using 5 Gamma Chef robots to make meals. So they essentially will take these 5 robots and boom, immediately push out the food. We were just talking with somebody recently at an event, and we were talking about why Taco Bell or why these restaurants, when you go to them right now, why don't they just have robots that make the food? And it's because they haven't had the need to, but with the shortage in employees right now, the longer people stay out of work, the quicker they're going to automate these, because those restaurants are going to continue. And then you'll have perfect food every time, but it'll be without a server. It'll be, you order it, it shows up to you, made exactly how it's supposed to be, which is interesting. That's what somebody had said. There's actually a new way, PYKA P3, to revolutionize autonomous electric flight with a patented propulsion system. We are getting aeronautical drones and propulsion systems for electric airplanes are coming out like mad. We're going to see a massive shift in the next 10 years, but that will move slowly. This is a slow trend, 5 and 10 years out, because the FAA does not move like, oh, that looks good, let's do it. They want to test it 100,000 ways first. Samsung designs its own AI chip. That's interesting. Artificial intelligence chips are actually beginning to be so fast, I don't think we quite understand what they will do. Nanorobots will prevent root canal treatment failures. You ever gotten a root canal? Remember how enjoyable that was? Well, what if that fails and you have to have it done again? Boy, that's exciting, right? So actually, nanorobots they'll put in your mouth will actually prevent that from happening. They also, these nanorobots will when you do an implant, they'll be able to heal the implant quicker, so you don't have to have such a long period of time between implant and actual tooth being implanted. Oxford-based Ultramics secures like a bunch of money to help doctors diagnose cardiovascular disease through artificial intelligence. So you've heard the theme here so far. AI. This is machine learning and artificial intelligence. My daughter Samantha and I just watched a Wondrium program, which is kind of like a masterclass program on machine learning. So we watched the first 2, and I said, Samantha, what do you think of that? She goes, that's amazing. And all of a sudden she's got ideas, growing in her mind. NASA wants to put 3D printing simulation included on the ISS cargo mission. This is Elon Musk's SpaceX shoots for the moon by 2024 or sooner. Knowing him, it's going to be sooner. And he'll probably do it without telling us. Here's an interesting one too. Inflatable robotic hand gives amputees real-time tactile control. Absolutely amazing. And a simple crystal could finally give us large-scale quantum computing, they're saying as well. The Hyperloop, by the way, and we've talked about the Hyperloop, that's the little tube that shoots you around like a bank teller. Hyperloop is included in the $1.2 trillion US infrastructure bill. Now, there's more and more of this stuff I can continue on with. There's so much stuff that's happening, it's almost humanly impossible to comprehend. But I want to bring these to you because you're going to find interesting things like the potholes in the United Kingdom. They're now going to use drones to not only find them, but also patch them in their dimpled roads. Really interesting stuff where you don't have to send out a high-rate crew of 30 guys so they can stand around and fix one pothole. You've all seen that, by the way. Now you can send one drone to do it as well. But at any rate, I guess too bad for the workers on the Highway Commission, but this may be very, very good for us. So with that, there's a lot of progress going on behind the scenes. So I know what a lot of the headlines are about Delta variant. There's a lot of headlines going on with with COVID, and it's another spike, which is again, we thought we might be beyond it. We thought we may not. The one thing I think my mom and I were talking about is we just wish they would tell us they don't know. It'd be the most helpful thing rather than everybody being so strong about their, oh, this is exactly it. And if you do this, this is going to happen. Oh, well, maybe not. I mean, no, it's just one of those things. It's new to them. Let us know. We believe this will work, but don't count on it for sure. So very interesting to see. There's a lot of studies and statistics coming out because now we've had enough time for third parties and fourth parties to do statistics and studies on certain things. So we're seeing a ton of data. Way too early for us to analyze a lot because whatever opinion that you have, you're going to find data to back that up. Be it politics, be it COVID, be it anything else. Be super careful to also check the other side of the equation. That'll keep you well balanced. At any rate, what I wanted to do is thank you tremendously. We've had a wonderful summer here. I think we've done a lot of reading, learning, teaching. Seeing a few of you outside again has been wonderful as well, and at different events. I think we had the Willie Porter event, if you will, over here at the park, which I was unavailable for. I was in Raleigh, but we had despite the rain and the in and out, I think we had some great conversations there as well. But to all of you again for working with us, our commitment is to continue to learn and bring you what's important, to bring you perspective. We want to try to bring you the mental health resources that you need as well, and we're searching really for those as well. Trying to bring back the president of the Children's Hospital to maybe talk again about what we can do for our kids, because there are some alarming statistics going on with children right now in areas. Be very careful with your children. The statistics are alarming in what this is doing to them. So social connection is important. Social media and COVID is preventing them from having a lot of those social connections. Just be very careful with that. So with that, I want to thank you tremendously for us. We are here to help you plan it, live it, and give it. That's what Gentian Retirement is about. So that's who we are. We want to also thank you tremendously before we go. We've had phenomenal introductions lately. I mean, and I don't want to talk by number. I'm talking by people. The people you are screening for us and bringing to us is bringing people who we can serve very well and who you'll like to get together with. And that's what we love. We want to create a group here that we can have different opinions, but we're good people and we can get together and really enjoy doing what we do for it. Here's what I'm going to say. You are why what we do, I don't want to call it easy or simple, but why we enjoy doing the tough work we do. So every time I talk to or see one of you, it makes me understand, oh my gosh, this is why we do it. This is why we do it. So thank you tremendously for keeping us one of the top practices. And I'm going to make this, thank you for keeping you one of the top practices in America. I always want to make sure that's a definition you understand. We know it. That's why we have the team that we do here. This team that and I'll speak about them quick, this is one of the best teams in the country. And reason being is because they like you like them, you trust each other. Thank you tremendously for that trust. We don't take it lightly. So with that, I want to thank you. Have a great week. Stay grateful. Stay who you are. Keep sharing the stories. And I want to make sure that you guys all out there stay safe. Until next time, signing off.